Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have with us a filmmaker. He actually, last year, he put out a short. It's a tribute to the Friday the 13th film. It's called Victim No More. I have with us here today my man, Bob Heckman. Bob, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I love this. Let's do this. I'm very excited.
Man. Me too, man. Me too. I'm gonna jump into this. I even got my Friday the 13th sweatshirt on for the occasion. So
I love my Jason. I know you do too, because I watched one of your other interviews where you bring it up.
So, yes, and we're going to talk about that because
your guy, right? Huh? Michael Myers is more of your guy.
Michael Myers is my guy, but like we're going to talk about this a little bit later on. The Friday the 13th movies I like are the ones that most people don't like. So, but we're going to go into that soon. But tell everyone a little bit about Victim No More.
I came up with this idea in 2019 to do a Friday the 13th project. I was going to do an anthology film, a horror anthology, like a Creepshow, Tales from the Dark Side movie kind of anthology. But then I said, you know what? I'm very passionate about my love of the Friday the 13th series. And I have, some connections to certain people connected to the Friday the 13th series. And, I was just like, I started thinking about it and I thought, you know what? Let me do a Friday the 13th short first before I do anything else. So sorry, you can't hear it, but there's kids screaming downstairs. Oh. They're not my kids. I'm in an apartment.
I can't complex. Hear it.
Yeah. I'm like, what are they doing to these children? But anyway, that's a little distracting.
Yeah.
But so I said, you know what? I really love the Friday the 13th series, and I have a few ideas of like what to do the story about, and kind of had I created like a little checklist of what I would want to see in a Friday the 13th movie, and try to get as close to that as I could with the funds that I had or that I could raise. So I came up with this story, and and away we went. COVID got in the way at first, so I had to postpone for an entire year. So it was ready to go by spring of 2021 to start filming for that summer. And one thing I wanted to do, speaking of the summer, was none of the Friday the 13th movies were ever shot during the summer when they're supposed to take place. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? For a change, and let me see what it's like to shoot a Friday the 13th tale over the course of the summer. And now I know why, because it's 90 degrees, it's 100 degrees, it's awful. A guy, in full up Jason prosthetics, sweating off pounds by the day. And I'm like, oh, this is why they always shoot in the fall and winter. So, I will never shoot in the summertime again. But I wanted it to look authentic because I live on the East Coast in New York, and like those first two Friday the 13th movies, they had a certain feel and look to like the New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New York, tri-state area, like feel to them, Mm-hmm. So I wanted these to look like these are tri-state area woods that we're in, so they look like part 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, Friday the 13th takes place in, New Jersey.
I actually went to the actual camp. I actually took a tour of the camp a couple of years ago for my birthday, and it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. It looks like it's a blast. I see all the pictures, and I've been to Blairstown where they shot Friday like a million times, and been to the camp too, but not with the tour group.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just said, let's do this, and we're very happy with the way things turned out.
It's amazing. Now, all right, so now when it comes to making a fan film, do you have to get permission from Sean Cunningham or whoever
No.
you make it, put it up there, and just go with it?
As long as it's shown for free on YouTube or other outlets. I don't know if people post them anywhere else, but as long as it's shown for free and put that disclaimer in the beginning saying that we have no affiliation with, New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers, Paramount. This is a nonprofit film. It's done strictly for love of the franchise. As long as you put that disclaimer in the beginning and put it up on YouTube, you don't need any permission. And they won't come after you to like shut it down or anything like that.
Okay, that's interesting though.
Yeah, you just can't you can't make money off of it in the sense of like you can make money off of merchandise, but you can't make money off the film itself. And it has to be shown for free.
Okay.
So that's basically, there's like weird little loopholes too, I could sell a copy of my Blu-ray because I'm like $14,000 in debt from filmmaking, for filming it. So it's like, I'm not really making money at all from it. It's just recouping what I lost. And that money's probably just going back into merchandise. So it's like, it's this constant, I'm not, I took a $14,000 hit, basically.
Yeah.
and I could just sell merchandise, and I'm not going to make $14,000 worth of merchandise. And if anything, and if I did, it would start rolling over into the sequel that I planned. So,
That's amazing. Because I've been seeing advertisements for your short for like the last year or two, and haven't had a chance to watch it until you reached out to me and was like, "Hey, come on!" And I was like, and I felt like it. I was like, "Wow, this is pretty good." Because and it's an interesting concept too, because it actually follows the victims. You get to see some of the aftermath of what happens. Once Jason comes in and murders a group of people, and the survivors, how they experience that.
Yeah, I that's the first idea that I thought of when I came up with this, plan to make a Friday tribute film, was that, well, how would this, the final girls or the survivors, like, make it about like a multi-generational story, like what happens with their kids, like how do they raise their kids with this trauma that they went through. I mean, like a lot of people have gone through all kinds of trauma, and a lot of the times the children suffer from it. Like they don't mean to do that to the child, but like what happens with a final girl and she has a kid, she's going to be very protective of that child. And then that kid's going to feel a little smothered by mom. And especially when he goes through his teenage years where he's just, like we all do, just like, we just want to be away from our parents and like, stop annoying me. And
100%.
It's got to be 10 times worse. Cause like, she's, where are you going now? Where are you going to be? Like, is it safe? Are you being safe? Or, so he just wants to like break out of this like shell that he's in. And, he's in his early 20s now, and he just wants to like live life, like a normal person. And his mom's trauma kind of prevents him from doing that, so he's going to therapy and really not listening to the therapist, which he's trying to say, but he's naive, he's been sheltered his whole life, so he really doesn't know any better. So, and he thinks he could like help, like fix his mom's trauma by going to the place where, Jason was in Camp Crystal Lake and proving that he's no longer a threat. and like this is how he is in his naive young thinking that like this is gonna fix your mom, or make you feel. It's really a selfish thing where like he's trying to make
Yeah.
himself feel better,
Hmm.
But we know what happens. So,
Surprise, surprise, he's not dead. Yeah, Jason's not dead.
yeah. And of course, in all days that he chooses, he picks Jason's birthday to go there. I'm like,
Exactly.
there's a bigger chance of him showing up on a June 13th than any other day, So,
I mean, that's fun time for him. and and you did a great job on doing a lot of Friday the 13th kills, especially with the practical effects.
Mhm.
There's one kill in particular. I'm gonna toss it out there, but like where
Yeah.
a woman gets stabbed by a machete and her body is still standing there in the corner afterwards, which is very cool. So when is that something that you wanted to do? Did you want to stay in that Friday the 13th, the original ones kills? Do you want to use the practical effects as well?
Oh yeah, I definitely wanted to go all practical. I wanted to give a couple of, and kind of what they do with every Friday 13th movie. There's always like the classic kills, like with that actress. She was stabbed from behind with the machete and then stuck into a wall.
Mhm.
That's I look at that as more of like a classic kind of kill. But then followed up with what happens after that with the.
Oh yes. By the way, that was a unique kill. That was a unique kill. That was yeah.
I like to affectionately call it the ribeye kill.
Yes.
And that's a kill that I had thought of over 20 years ago.
Really?
Over 20 years ago, I think it was in 2000. I think it was 2000 or 2001. I had written an outline for a Jason versus Michael Myers movie that I wanted to shoot way back then. And at the end of the movie, and obviously I never did anything with it. I still have it in a notebook. Yeah, it didn't even like get typed up. I wrote it all in a notebook. But at the end of the movie, it ends at Camp Crystal Lake on the docks of the lake with them just like beating the hell out of each other, which, as you've seen Freddy versus Jason, is the exact way that movie ends.
100%.
So, like in 2003, when Freddy versus Jason came out, I was like, I wrote this ending 2 years ago. I'm like, great minds think alike, motherfucker. So, and at one point, Michael Myers breaks off one of Jason's ribs and jams it in Jason's like eyeless socket.
Mm-hmm.
So that has always been in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, what a great kill to use a piece of Jason's body, do a kill with. And Jason being a little confused by it afterwards.
Exactly.
Just for a moment, there's just a little like, all right, I guess a piece of me is staying here in that guy's face. But
I mean, Jason is he's definitely in the top 3 iconic horror characters. You got Jason, Michael Myers, and Freddy. Those are the top 3, and each one of them has their own style of movie that you can kind of expect. With the Friday the 13th, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
every time you're going to get some great tit shots. You're going to get some. You're going to get some dumb counselors running in the woods, falling, dying, sex scenes. But with Jason has always given us creative kills. He really has. He's always given us creative kills.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, Freddy does have creative kills, of course.
He does too. Yes.
In a more of a fantasy horror, area. But I always say, I look at like, if it's the top three, Michael, Freddy, Jason, I kind of look at the Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street movies as like classier,
Yes,
like
100%.
like better production.
Friday the 13th is definitely trashy. Yes.
Yeah, Friday the 13th is more trashy and fun. Like you're going there for like just campy fun, like let's see what happens this time around, and it's I guess they're a little bit trashier, but there's moments that you're just like, well, that just like, oh, this is on par with like this Halloween film, just in like different ways, but he's always been the creative killer out of
1%. And I mean, and the way that Jason kills, I mean, Jason is a vicious killer. I mean, you can tell he kind of takes pleasure in what he does. And I mean, he finds, I mean, he can kill with anything, he's killed with everything. I'm trying to think. He's killed with bone arrows, he's killed with machetes, knives, darts. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I think he might have the highest kill count. I think I recall seeing a stat that said that Jason has had more victims than any other horror character.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely does, without a doubt. I mean, with 2 movies alone, like Jason Takes Manhattan, that boat sinks, and all of them, except for the ones that continue the movie. And well, there's a space station that explodes in Jason.
Yes.
Well, that's got to be a few hundred.
Exactly.
I mean, he unintentionally did that. He probably wasn't even aware that he did that, but he did that. So.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to rack up the body count. Now, I tell a lot of people, so when it comes to the Friday the 13th, I say that my favorite one is the reboot.
Okay.
And people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that. And I'm like, I just like the idea. It answered a lot of questions that the other ones, it was a different mood. It answered a lot of questions that you've always wondered about the other Friday the 13th about Jason. And it also turns Jason has more of a human aspect to him. He does things like run. He's vicious. He sets up booby traps. It gives him makes him more of a man than some kind of monster or some kind of spirit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a great mash up and interpretation of like part 2 to 4, where he is running and he's more human like, and he's surviving off the wilderness, and he's, there is some like thought going into his mind. Like you could see that he's like thinking a lot in like pieces of those, and he's making mistakes, and he's doing, like there's more like personality going on. But like, yeah, I have no problem saying like the reboot is your favorite one. It was a good like reintroduction to this character, and squashing the first 4 movies together and spitting it out for a new generation is like, I mean, that's what a reboot should do.
Amazing.
Like, all right, here, and then we'll take it from there. The kidnapping thing is a little odd, but I mean, I don't hate it, but like, I get it. It's like she reminded him of his mother somehow. I don't see the, if they got somebody that actually looked like his mom, maybe, I don't know, but
even the actor Derek Mears was an amazing Jason.
God, and Derek Mears is the coolest guy in the world, and he's also like a massive fan. So like him getting to play Jason, and like I wish they made sequels to it. Like, and so does he. Like he wishes. We all wish that like there would have been a part 2, 3, 4 to that or whatever. But when it comes to Friday the 13th series, that's the one series that everybody has a completely different ranking.
Yes.
Like part one is almost never a lot of people's favorite ones.
It's not my favorite.
Yeah, no, it's not my favorite either. But like the rankings are always a lot of it has to do with nostalgia, or the first one you got to see in a theater, or like the comfort food, like it's like, oh, so the rankings, you could ask 5 hardcore fans what's your favorite Friday the 13th, your top 5, they're all going to be completely different, so when people are like, oh, the reboot or Jason X or part 5 is my favorite one, I'm like, doesn't surprise me, I'm like, I get it. I look at it like, when it comes to Jason, I compare that and the Godzilla movies. There's like 37 Godzilla movies.
Yes.
And there's like 5 remakes within those 37 movies. So it's like, where they restart everything again. And it's like, I'm like, Jason is just Godzilla to me. Like, just give me more of the same, throw a little different thing in there, or like interesting characters or something. And you got me. You got me for like a million sequels. So,
and I agree with the statement you said. So the very first movie I've ever seen in a movie theater was Jason Goes to Hell. It was the first movie I've ever seen in movie theaters ever. And, a lot of people give that movie shit, which, it's understandable. But like, I feel like I don't hate it as much as most people do. And that's probably because it was the first movie I've seen in a movie theater.
And that's understandable. There's a special place for it in your heart. And when I saw parts 7 and 8 in the theater, and then when I went to see Jason Goes to Hell, of course I was excited about it. But then when, I did not like the movie at all in the theater, because I was just like, oh, what is he, body jumping? And he's not even in the movie except for the first scene, which is amazing, and the last scene. I was like, what? This is just. I just felt like it was crap, but. Whatever, like throughout the years, I just watched it again. When I watch them all because I have to have marathon them all. And there's lots of things I love in it now. First off, the K&B special effects, it's at its most glorious and glorious.
Yes.
It's just insane. I like a lot of the characters, the Steven character, and it's fun. It's just fun. And my friend and I, actually the guy who plays Jason in my film, we got together in August and we watched Jason Goes to Hell because it was like the 30th anniversary of that movie.
Yes.
I'm like, 30th anniversary of this movie. We have to sit here, we watched the unrated cut and we had a good time, it's still at the bottom of my list, but we have a good time, so.
But when I saw that it was the 30th anniversary, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting old. Fuck. It seemed like that was yesterday that I saw that in the theaters,
Me too. I remember exactly what theater, where I was sitting. I remember my disappointment. I remember everything about it, Yeah,
because I was either in the 5th or 6th grade, and my older sister got her driver's license, and she took us to my younger sister and I to go see it in the movie theater. It was our first time seeing the movie, and so I remember. It seemed like it was yesterday, but oh my God, it's been 30 fucking years. That's crazy.
30 years, yeah, and 20 years since Freddy vs. Jason.
I know. I remember seeing that in the theater too.
That's the first movie I saw. Back to back in the theater, where the movie ended, went out, got tickets, went back in.
Wow.
And a different group of friends joined me, for that second screening. I knew I was going to see it twice, in the same day. So, it's a fight we've been waiting for since we were kids. So
exactly. They were talking about it forever. Now, what's your top 3?
My top 3 is part 4, 6, and 2. Those are my top 3. When I was growing up, nothing could touch part 6. Like 6 was like my favorite one. But then as I got into my 20s, I was like, the final chapter is probably my favorite. But it's like neck and neck with part 6. I love Jason Lives. And part 2 has my favorite final girl, Amy Steele.
I met her. She's awesome.
Yeah, I've met her too.
Mm-hmm.
You probably recognize the narration voice at the end of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, we're good friends. Actually, my two favorite final girls, I'm really good friends with, Amy Steele and Kimberly Beck. They're like,
nice.
Kimberly Beck is like one of my closest friends. We just love hanging out, and and she loves that I made a movie about her fictional son. Although she was upset that I didn't cast her real son to be to make it, who very much looks like Robbie from the movie. He's got bright blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm like, well, that's why I picked this actor, because it looked like he could have been your son.
Yeah.
So, for my real son, he's a decent actor, How do I know that? I don't know.
Our ranking is almost identical, except for, so mine is 4, 6, and then the reboot is number 1.
Okay, so 4 and 6 you like more than the reboot. You just love the reboot. So.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, but I enjoy them all. For better or worse, I enjoy them all.
And also, you're going to turn this bad boy into a trilogy. So you're working on 2 more.
I really, really want to. I mean, the views have to be a lot more than what they are, because as more people view it, I say I would love to get it to like 100,000 views or more. I mean, it would be amazing to get like 1 million views, like the Never Hike Alone movies and stuff like that. I think I'm just not great at promoting it, because I'm just not good at it. But I figured word of mouth has been helping. But I needed to get to like at least 100,000 views, because that kind of guarantees you more people that'll help fund your next movie, if they enjoy it. So if they enjoyed it and they want to contribute, even if it's like $10-$20, every little penny counts, So yeah, I have 2 sequels that I want to do, and all 3 films will be very different from each other, but they'll also pick up where the last one leaves off.
Okay.
The second film that I'm going to start planning, I'm going to start a campaign next year, is going to be an anthology film. So it'll be like 4 short stories that kind of interweave with each other, and it'll be about the survivor squad that happens at the end of my film. It'll be kind of about their backstories. So
nice.
It'll be 4 of their backstories, and what happened to them to cause them trauma, and help be found by the other women. But it'll kind of be like characters and stories that are kind of spun out of the Friday the 13th universe. Like there'll be connections to major and minor characters from the whole franchise, and you'll see what those twists are in those stories, and we'll see the aftermath of what happened at the end of this first one.
Any chance we're going to see Tommy Jarvis make an appearance?
Probably not. No, the Never Hike Alone series kind of ran with Tom Matthews and as Tommy Jarvis in their movies. Did I say Tom Matthews? I did, right?
Yes.
So, and also the fan film Vengeance 2 Bloodlines used Tom Matthews also as Tommy Jarvis, returning to the role. separate universes that they did.
Yes.
The same YouTube character. I'm like, all right, I don't need to see Tommy Jarvis ever again. Unless I would use Tommy Jarvis if I was going to do something different, like use John Shepard from Part 5.
Mm-hmm.
Even though 4 and 6 are my favorite ones, I really like John Shepard from Part 5, and like him dealing with the trauma from and pill popping and seeing hallucinations of Jason.
Yeah.
I think that actor is like awesome, like
amazing,
did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so I think he's like my favorite actor of the Tommy Jarvises. He's just not in my favorite Friday movie,
Is he still around, or does he do conventions?
Yeah, he does conventions. He's still around. I don't think he acts anymore, but I want to say he's tied to the industry somehow. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I would get him as like a cameo.
Yeah.
There will be cameo appearances, like more cameos in my sequels. So like people I know or I'm friends with, and they may or may not be from the Friday 13th movies of the past. And I probably won't keep that a secret. When I was campaigning for this movie, I kept my cameos a secret just because I wanted that initial like surprise.
Yeah.
Like Catherine Mary Stewart taking over the role of Megan Jarvis. Well, she used to be Megan Garrison from Part 6 and then got married to Tommy. So when she shows up at the end of the film, spoilers.
Yeah.
That the actress that originally played her, Jennifer Cook, never acted again after that movie. So I figured, all right, if there's one final girl I could like swap out with a different actress and a bigger actress, because Catherine Mary Stewart's been in Weekend at Bernie's and Night of the Comet and Last Starfighter and, still working today. I'm like, well, I can upgrade to Kathy playing Megan. And the fans won't like hate me too much. Like,
yeah.
It's like, no, you got to get the original actress. I'm like, well, that person never acted again. So
yeah.
What can I do? I'm like, it needs to be Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I always thought Megan from Part 6 didn't do much as a final girl. It was about Tommy Jarvis.
It was 100% about Tommy Jarvis.
Like the only thing she kind of does is motorboat Jason in the neck and then kind of give mouth to mouth to Tommy, which, thank God for that. So she is a hero. But I'm like, they never gave her much to do. And she was about to get her head crushed before Tommy got Jason's attention. So it's like, oh, she didn't really fight back much or anything like that. So I'm like, well, this is a way of like kind of redeeming that character where she gets to blow Jason's arm off in my movie.
No. But I think that movie, they were trying to promote Final Guy, you know what I mean? And yeah. I think that movie was definitely all about Tommy for fun, which was something nice to do to finally see a Final Guy.
Oh yeah. No, I was down for it. It was great.
All right. All right. So I'm going to shoot to the horror questions of the interview. You ready?
Yes.
I got 3 questions for you, man. All right. The first one: who is your favorite final girl out of the Friday the 13th movies?
Oh well, that was Ginny Field from Friday the 13th Part 2. That is my favorite final girl. I think she used intelligence and, using psychology against Jason. And it was done so subtly throughout the movie to show that like, oh, she's studying psychology. She gets in the conversation at the bar with Paul and Teddy, talking about the, what Jason could have been going through being alone all these years in the woods and, a boy trapped in a man's body and like all that stuff. Like it was perfectly laid out for her to use that psychology against Jason at the end, trying to pretend to be his mom and everything. Definitely my favorite. And like I said, Kimberly Beck, Trish is my second favorite because she's not only like fighting for her life, she's protecting her little brother too. You know, she's trying to guide him away from the house and jump out of windows and like anything to like make sure like, you know, Jason doesn't get her little brother. Even though we know now Jason doesn't really harm kids, you know.
No, that's
He's
Michael Myers who does that. Yeah.
He's snapping necks. Yeah.
Michael Myers don't give a fuck about no damn kids.
No, he's completely just in his own world. He's zoned out.
Yeah.
You know, which I appreciate too. I love that scene in Halloween 2018 where like he walks by the baby's crib. And there's that moment where like you could hear it in the audience going, "Oh no,
oh, no, I know."
oh, he's not going to kill this baby." And then he just looks at it, sees it's not a threat of any sort, and just continues walking. I was just like, "Oh my god, that was masterfully done." Yep. I love it.
But he definitely killed that little boy in that car, though.
Well, he had a gun. He was a threat. So
yeah, he was a threat.
He probably was just a little man. You know?
What's your favorite Friday the 13th kill of all time?
Jeez. I feel like everybody says sleeping bag from part 7. I don't know if that's... I would probably say Jason himself in part 4, sliding down the machete blade.
Not the icebreaker?
You mean from Jason X?
Yes.
That's pretty amazing too.
That's a pretty fucking badass kill.
That is definitely a top 10 one for sure. You know what? I would say probably breaking Sheriff Garrison in half.
Oh, that was a good one.
That's the fold over.
Over almost like a chair, yeah.
Yeah, that is rough.
Horrendous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, and I when I do these 2 sequels, I plan on doing a couple of more like original kills. Give you a couple classic.
You got to toss in the classic because Jason does do that. He gives you the classic kill, but he also gives you that something new. You know, right. He also tosses in that new fresh kill.
And I can't wait to film this next idea that I have that's going to be in part Victim No More 2. I don't know if it'll top the ribeye, but like...
the ribeye was good.
It's completely original, and it's something my best friend came up with. And I'm like, I've never seen that done in a movie, and we need to put it in our movie. And it has to be the last kill of that segment that we do, so people can like leave the movie going, that was amazing. So
a great kill. I mean, a great kill, especially one that you've never seen before, which is tough to do now in horror, you know, because people have gotten killed in every possible way. But when you see that great kill, like I have never seen the ribeye before. That was a new kill.
Thank you.
That was a brand new kill. No one has ever used that. Brand new kill.
Yeah, some people are mistaking that it's his Jason's penis.
Well, I thought that at first that's what I thought it was too. I thought it was his dick, and he stabbed him in the eye with his dick. That's what I thought it was first, and I had to rewind it, and I was like, "Oh, it's his rib." Okay.
No, because the guy is kind of shuffling around.
I thought he was pulling his fucking dick off, and that's how Jason's dick looked, and right in the eye. So
yeah, like why would it be so hard? Yeah, so yeah.
I mean, because he's dead, so I'm assuming like decompose or something. I mean, this is fucking.
No, I should have. I could have filmed that a little bit differently to make it a little bit more clear.
But that would be even more creative. But that would even been even more creative if he stabbed him in the eye with his dick. Like, jeez, like who the fuck did that? Like, you know what I mean? That would be.
Yeah, there was a podcast interview that thought that, and I was just like, no. I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, damn, I should have added that into.
Thought that would have been funny.
All right.
Yes.
Let me see. I got two questions. I'm gonna ask you two more questions. All right. Who is your
Okay.
favorite Jason actor who's played Jason?
I would say Ted White. Ted White's my favorite. Ted White and CJ Graham.
CJ Graham is amazing. Ted White is good too.
And that's kind of what I mean, I love Kane Hodder and what he brought to Jason for his 4 movies. But with part 6, when he's brought back from the grave, I love the idea that he's not breathing. So you don't see that chest rise thing going on. He's almost like Michael Myers, where he's just stoic and
yes,
like you can't read him at all on like what he's thinking or doing. He's just this, Frankenstein
machine. He was like,
yeah. I kind of love that. And when James Taffarelli, who played my Jason, he asked me what do you want from this Jason? And I'm like, I don't want to see breathing. Like because everybody that gets into a Jason outfit like that wants to do a Kane Hodder impression, and do the Kane Hodder moves and everything. And I get that, but I just told him, I'm like, just keep, when I say action, just take a deep breath, because I don't want to see that breathing going on. And then, everybody that plays Jason kind of brings their own thing to it. So James brought his own thing to Jason. And I liked what he did. So yeah, and I just love how brutal Ted White is, smash doors and, so yeah, Ted White,
like
Graham.
Kane Hodder. I know he's the most iconic Jason. Yes, most people he's their favorite. He's their favorite. Kane Hodder falls last on my list when it comes to Jasons. I mean,
oh wow, okay.
I mean, even what's his name? Booker.
Brooker.
Richard. Yeah. I mean, I even put him for Derek Mears is amazing as Jason.
Derek Mears, I feel like he would be in my top 5. And I just would have loved to seen him do more after that. It's great that we got Derek Mears and other things, like him playing a Predator and, yeah. There's a lot of other things is great.
All right, so this is the off the wall crazy question I just saw off the top of my head. All right, you ready? What is your favorite nude scene in a Friday the 13th movie?
Oh my God. Favorite nude scene?
Yes.
The one in part 6. Just kidding. There are no nude scenes in part 6.
Yes, because the director purposely didn't put any in that one. Yes.
Right. I mean, I guess I'd have to say, I guess part 5 with Debbie Sue Voorhees in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm not a big boob guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
and which one was it that they had an underage actress that posed nude?
She wasn't nude, but
or something.
Marta Koba in part 2 is like underage. She's like 16 or 17 or something like that. So that's Sandra from part 2, Jeff and Sandra. But she's not nude. She's kind of covered up. So, but I guess her having like a sex scene kind of is, yeah, kind of pushing it. I think that's it though. I think that's the only case of that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not thinking of it though.
Mine is actually from, I don't know if this counts on Freddy versus Jason, where Freddy does that illusion where Jason's in a dream and Freddy does an illusion where there's two girls and they're like, "Hey, Jason, here we are. See our titties." And like,
Oh, you mean Jason X? I think that's on the spaceship where they're like,
Jason X? Oh yeah, it was Jason X. I'm thinking Freddy versus Jason. No, that's Jason X. You're right. You're right. Yes.
yeah. The fake.
Yeah, the illusion. Yeah.
Yeah. The what do you call it? VR, virtual reality.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. No, that was straight up funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the nudity thing with me, or the nudity and sex, I just don't. I never cared much about that stuff. For that's not what always brought me to the Friday the 13th movies. I mean, as a kid, of course,
I'm about to say that. I'm about to say as a kid. I mean, as a kid, that's what I love about the Friday the 13th movies.
Of course, like boobies, boobies.
Yeah, and my parents would always tell me to turn my head anytime there was like a naked person on the screen. But they didn't tell me to turn my head when somebody was getting their head bashed in. I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. But that's one thing I kind of like wanted to do differently with, with my fan film, or like I like to call it a tribute film because I'm paying tribute to like different things of the Friday the 13th series. But I wanted to kind of stay away from like, oh, here's a bunch of like horny people that want to smoke weed all day long, and like those kind of tropes. I'm just kind of like, that's not why I love the Friday the 13th series. I wanted like the ongoing story and like the creative kills and what you could do differently, and like those nods to the pieces of the other series, and like that's where I'm kind of like the mythology think to mess around with, like when it. But there's most of the other fan films have like those things, like where it's like, all right, you got the stoners and the people that are just trying to get laid and stuff, and I'm like, there's enough fan films doing that stuff. So I'm like, what? No.
But
I rather get into the the meat of the mythology and continuing stories and stuff like that.
But that's one of the reasons why, like, if you ask me right now, Friday the 13th ranks last in the iconic ones, because and the three that I enjoy have the best characters development, has the best storylines, because if you watch the other Friday the 13th, they're all kind of the same. They follow the same platform. There's nothing new. You're kind of just there to see what new kill Jason's going to do this time.
Right.
But it's the same characters. It's the same story. It's just endless. It's just new bodies for Jason. But the reboot Part 6 and Part 4 does something completely different.
Yes. Yeah. Like, and that's why those kind of rank higher than some others. And sometimes when you take Jason out of his environment, like Takes Manhattan, which is my least favorite, but like it may not work. It may work for other people. Some people like love Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. But for me, it's like, why aren't they just doing a movie where they're reopening the camp after 25 years? Like, it's so, like, let's go back to basics, like, and the majority of the Friday the 13th movies are just usually vacationers that are like near the Camp Crystal Lake area.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting killed. And it's like, well, we only have, 2 movies where it's the camp, like, well, really one with the working camp where there's kids at, where there's like
Yeah.
a threat, so it's like, let's do that again. Let's do, meatballs and Jason shows up, So I don't know. I just hope when they do reboot a Friday 13th movie in the near future, hopefully a new theatrical one, that it's going to be something like that, where it's going to be like, they might have to retell the entire story again, kind of like what they did with the reboot, but like, oh, I would love to see them like reopening Camp Crystal Lake with all these new characters, and like kids are arriving, or it could be the week before the kids arrive, and we got Jason out in these woods.
I would love to see them do something like what Halloween 2018 did, where I don't know which movie, but take a movie and boom, 20, 30 years later, follow the characters in that movie and Jason coming back.
Yeah, there's some fan films that did that, where they kind of like take their own timeline.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Vengeance movies, which kind of like take place, 30 years after Part 6. They kind of ignore 7 on.
Okay.
Which is, it's an interesting way to take. There was a fan film that I saw that picked up where Part 4 left off, and Jason comes out of the grave after being supposedly killed. But, I think that was called, I think that one's The Fall of Camp Blood. And,
so many out.
Yeah, there's so many. And that was a good one. But there was one thing towards the end I didn't like, where it's like, oh, you didn't have to kill Jason like that, because it could have continued on with the other movies. Like, it could have been 4.5 and then went 5, 6, 7,
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm not a big fan of like ignoring sequels, because a lot of people love like those sequels. So I try not to like ignore the sequels. So I don't know. It's just my thoughts on it.
So Bob, where can everyone find you, my friend?
You could find me on Facebook, Victim No More. We have a page on Facebook. We have the website victimnomorefilm.com, which we are currently having a big deal with, a sale, if you will, where if you spend more than $20 on anything off the website and the merch page, I will send you a copy of the Blu-ray for free.
Nice.
So
$20 off of anything, get a free Blu-ray.
Yeah. If you buy a shirt or a beanie and a pen or something, like whatever's $20, I will send you a copy of the Blu-ray. And even though the film is only 40 minutes, there's an 1.5-hour documentary on it.
Okay.
All kinds of bloopers and outtakes and photo galleries, and like, it's the most packed fan film Blu-ray you'll ever see. Because I love old school DVD, where you like spend like a couple hours just
scrolling through.
Yeah, just scrolling through, and there's even Easter eggs in it where like you could highlight different things, light up, and they'll take you to something else. It's interactive. It's fun. But victimnomorefilm.com. It's PayPal and Venmo on there. Spend $20, I'll send you a copy of the Blu-ray. And on Instagram, it's VNM_2020. You could also find me on there with my own thing, Bobbers1984. And I think that's it. YouTube. Check out YouTube. 3PD Films. 3PD Films on YouTube. You can see the film for free. I uploaded all kinds of like videos of me and the Final Girls, like Adrian King, Amy Steele, Kimberly Beck, like having fun at like the VIP parties at conventions and shopping, killing cakes, you know.
Yeah.
I put up some behind the scenes of Victim No More, and like behind the scenes stuff. Some bloopers here and there. Like I just uploaded all kinds of videos on there. That's a lot of fun.
Nice. And guys, go down in the description box. The link to the website as well as the YouTube where you can watch it for free is down there as well. Bob, it's been an absolute pleasure, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you too. There's one thing I was hoping you'd ask though.
What's that? Go ahead.
Because you asked one of the other guys, what do you think is the most underrated horror film?
What is the most underrated horror film?
I was going to say Child's Play 3. No, it is underrated, but
it is. It's a good one.
I like the military school. I like it. It's cool. But I was going to say all the Hammer horror films. Do you know Hammer horror?
Oh, yes.
Like,
love them.
Peter Cushing, like all those Frankenstein, Dracula, British horror films. I was going to say that, like all of them, because being American, we just go Universal horror, and then we go right to the 80s slasher, basically.
Yes.
70s, 80s slasher. It's like, oh my God, there's this whole time period that people don't talk about much because I don't think they're aware of, like, Hammer horror. And I just love those movies, you know. So
I interviewed some guys. They have a YouTube channel. It's called It's Alive podcast. And
oh shit, I just came across that on YouTube. So.
That's all they watch is old school Hammer movies and do commentating during them. And it's fun.
Yeah, it's the first time we get like horror movies in color, and like we got to see like red blood in like a movie, and of course it looked like paint back then. But
but listen, you have to get what you can. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I love those
blood.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool movies. They're classy movies, you know. Not like Friday 13th, but you know, like. Yeah.
Here's one I was thinking about: People Under the Stairs. That movie does not. And I saw that Jordan Peele is doing a remake of it or something. People Under the Stairs don't get. Most people have never even seen that movie. It's one of Wes Craven's.
I like the movie a lot. It's not one of my favorites, but there's a movie that I think, when it comes to Wes Craven, even gets lesser talked about, like The Serpent and the Rainbow.
I've never seen that one.
It was. I think it was made just. I think it's 1987 or 88. But like people don't talk about this movie at all, and it's Bill Pullman, you know, from I guess you know Spaceballs and Independence Day. Bill Pullman, he's investigating like these voodoo rituals in Haiti, and I just recently rewatched it, and I think the movie's so good. But it's about like voodoo rituals in Haiti and like people dying and coming back to life, like as a zombie, and I don't know. It's cool. I mean, it's not real horror. It's kind of like dramatic thriller horror, I guess. You know,
I like that.
There's some messed up scenes in it, but you know, it's cool. It doesn't get talked about at all. I feel
it's called The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Yeah. Let me.
Okay, because I'm like writing this down right now.
Yeah, The Serpent and the Rainbow.
I've never heard of this.
Okay,
check it out. Because I'm a huge Wes Craven fan.
Yeah, 1987. Check this movie out if you can find it on something or. Yeah, and when the trailer came out, there was this cool like scene that says that's the tagline in the movie. Don't bury me. I'm not dead.
I'm definitely going to check that one out. I'm a
Yeah,
huge Wes Craven fan. I'm shocked. I've never heard of that one.
yeah. If you can find it, I don't know where you could find it. Maybe it's on Amazon Prime or Shutter or something. I don't know where you can find it.
I'll definitely find it.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure, my friend. Listen, everyone, please go on YouTube, go on the website, buy some merch, get your free copy. It's a fun ride. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.